Well, welcome to the recording for web design for April 15 through 21. And as usual, my recordings go from Monday to the next Sunday. Obviously, you can do the work anytime you want. I've broken it down into Tuesday and Thursday to maybe help you schedule things a little bit better. And you can see that for week 3, of course, you're watching this recording. You're going to do the Class Connect write-up. You have 2 assignments. We have an invitation assignment and Webmaster Roles website assignment. Now, the Webmaster Roles website assignment, if you remember, in week 2, you did a Webmaster Role write-up, which was a paragraph and had a couple of resources, URLs. That was the text file. What we're going to be doing for this week is you're going to turn that into a web page. And I have a template that you will use to do it. So when we get to that, I'll show you where you can find that information. Then for Thursday, you're just going to look at the hyperlinks unit, but we're going to skip the hyperlinks assignment. So not a lot of work this week, but the invitation assignment, it's kind of a challenge, but you can see that I have a recorded demonstration of how to do the invitation assignment and a recorded demonstration of how to do the Webmaster Roles assignment. Now, speaking of those things, let's go down here. If I click on selected assignment recordings, here are a bunch of recordings for you on how to do many of the assignments. The Elements of Design unit we're in now, there's those 2 assignments. The WYSIWYG unit we'll get to eventually. Here's how to do those assignments. Copyright unit, here's how to do those assignments. So I try to help you get your work done. Helpful files and templates. This is what we're going to be using for the Webmaster Rules website assignment. This is a template file that will help you get some of that work done. So we'll look at it a little bit later. Now, if you have not done week 1 and week 2 work, please get that done first before you move on. All right, let's go ahead and jump into, we're in the Elements of Design unit in the Class Connect write-up. Let's look at that first. So first three questions. What does HTML stand for? Even though there are programs that create HTML and the coding automatically, why is it good to know HTML? How can you view the HTML code on any page? Let's keep that in mind. So let's go into the unit, and we're in the introductory session. So you see, as we talk about HTML, HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. As you learned before, it was started by Tim Berners-Lee back in 1992 or 95, something like that. He created it. And HTML, what it helps you do is it is the language of the internet. And right here it says, while there are special programs to do coding, it's important to learn HTML because sometimes you might find it necessary to work directly with code to achieve exactly what you want. So it's important to know about coding. Now, how do you view code on pages? Well, you go up to the View menu at the top of your screen, and then you might see something that says Source. So I'm on this page right now. I'll go up to the top, I'll hit View, Source. And for some reason it's not showing that. Well, it's because we're in a browser. Let me just go to Google and let's see if I can do View, Source. And here's the source for this Google web page. So, excuse me, pretty daunting, isn't it? So let's not worry about that. But if I go to maybe another page, let's go to Yahoo. Let's do View, Source. And here's the source code for this Yahoo page. So the thing about this is you can look at code for web pages and you can learn from that code. So it's easy to learn from code. So there's some of the answers to the Class Connect write-up questions. So now we'll go into section 2. And we'll go back to the write-up. Let's see. HTML stand for, we talked about that. Even though there is programs, why is it good to know code? I talked about that. How can you view the coding on any web page? I just showed you that. Okay, in section 1, how do your web browser and HTML work together? In submitting work, Do you turn in zip files or zip folders? And so here we are, so beginning HTML. And the way it all works is that your browser, Internet Explorer or Firefox, whichever one you use, it translates the HTML code into something that you can read. So that's how your browser and HTML coding works together, is the browser translates the code into the pictures, the text, the sound, etc. So that's how all that stuff works together. And of course, you know that you can view any web page. You've seen how to do that, to view the coding. And there's a little self-check. Move the mouse over each of the images to see if you're correct. So, which might, I'm not sure why they're, well, you can see from the picture that that might be medical supplies. So I guess that's what they're telling you to look at. Now here's a video to start your first web page. So I would suggest you go through this and practice. This video tells you how to do it. And then they want you to do it in Notepad. So you're going to open up Notepad. And you're going to put this text into it. You're going to copy and paste this text into it. So do exactly what they're telling you to do here. So highlight that, right-click, copy, and then paste that into Notepad, because those are the basic lines for a web page. So paste it into Notepad. The colors of the letters won't show up. They're just used colors here to show you how they relate to one another. Save it in your portfolio folder in the Unit 2 folder as firstwebpage.html. So I'll go ahead and go through this exact step for you. So I have that highlighted. Right click, copy. Then I'll go down and I'll open Notepad. Control V. So there I go. I have it. And now I'm going to look again. It says portfolio, Unit 2 folder called myfirstwebpage.html. So let's go back to Notepad. So then File, Save As, and there's Web Design, Portfolio, Unit 2. And they want us, we're going to save it as myfirstwebpage.html. So you see I changed that to all files, and myfirstwebpage.html, I put the whole thing in there. Otherwise, it was going to save it as a text file for me, but I wanted it saved as an HTML file. Then I'll hit save. So now I've created that web page. Close Notepad. Then let's go look at that. See if we actually have a web page. So I'm going to close that. So then I'll go into my folder. Web Design, Portfolio, Unit 2, there it is, webpage.html, double click on it, and now I've opened it. So you can see how this web page was from this work we just did. So that's how you make that happen. Now I could also, I'm going to close that, I could also go to a blank browser window, and I can do File, Open, and then I navigate to where that file is located. Web Design, Portfolio, Unit 2, my first web page, Open, OK, and you can see that I can open it that way. So I did everything that it said right here. This is our practice. And you can look at that coding that we copied and pasted, and you can see that what these things, these are all the important pieces. And the body, that ends up being the information that gets printed. The title, this goes at the top of the web page. So if I look at this, so here I'm back at the web page, and actually you can't see it because I don't have my browser set up properly, but right up here would say this is my first web page, and actually you can see it over here, can't you? that that's the name of this browser window. That's my first web page. So I did what that said. So you need to work through these practices as it has you do that. Okay, now to do code, one way of learning how to write code is to edit existing code. So now what we're going to do, this is code for an invitation. So you're going to do these steps exactly. Now I'm not going to do this right now because, as I showed you earlier in the announcements, there's and actually in the assignment for the week, I have the video that shows how to do this. But you need to follow these steps exactly. Follow these steps exactly to do the invitation. Now the biggest challenge students have with the invitation is when they go in and they put their own image in. Your own image is going to go right here, the image that you save. But I guarantee if you follow these directions, and I might as well go back and show it to you. If you follow those directions and go right here, this recording will show you exactly how to do the invitation assignment. So that's how you're supposed to be doing this work. Now, submitting web pages, you're going to zip. And the way you zip on the unit folder. Like in this one, if it wants you to to send in the unit 2 folder, you will zip it. And here's a little video on how to zip. And I'll show you demonstration right here. Here's my unit 2 folder. If I wanted to zip that, I would right click, send to compressed zipped folder. Now you can see that there it is. And then this is what I can turn into the Dropbox. It zips it, it compresses that folder and turns it in. And the reason you have to zip is so then it sends everything along with the folder. I'm going to go ahead and delete that zip folder. I don't need it. But that's how you zip. So right click, send to compressed zip folder. So this video right here is a little demonstration of how to do zipping. And you always zip folders. You do not zip files. So you can see right here, you zip folders, not files. So the invitation assignment, this is more of that invitation assignment. So you saw the practice on the screen a couple minutes ago, and now you're going to go in and you're going to change it from the cowboy theme to your own theme. You're going to change the colors of the background, the table background, the text. You're going to save it as invite2.html. You're going to send me the Unit 2 folder zipped, because that's the only way I can see everything. You have to zip that Unit 2 folder, so then I see not only your invite HTML, but I see the image that you sent along with that web page. So that's the invitation assignment. And again, I have that posted in the work announcement for the week, the exact way to do the invitation assignment. It's all right there for you. Okay, let's go back to the Class Connect write-up. And how do your web browser and HTML work together? We talked about that. In submitting Word, you turn in zipped files or zipped folders. We talked about that, right? Okay. Now the next section, so that's section, so now we're in section 2. And in section 2, let's go to the write-up. Section 2, what is web accessibility? How is CSS helpful? What are the two types of CSS and how are they different? So in section 2, accessibility means that people with disabilities can use the web. That's what accessibility means. And the American with Disabilities Act, this is the same act that makes us have ramps at schools and elevators and things like that to get into public buildings. Well, also there are requirements for government websites to be accessible to people with disabilities. So it could be for their eyesight. Eyesight is mostly, but the color combinations have to be right. Different types of backgrounds. So that's what accessibility is for web pages. Now, you don't have to worry about the pages you do as being accessible because you're not required by law to do it. But it does matter. Do you want to get into good practices on using proper backgrounds and colors? You can see how these backgrounds and colors, some are good to, are easy on the eyes, some are tough on the eyes. And then when you're doing your text, short phrases are better. Most people just scan information, you really don't read it. You can highlight keywords, make bulleted lists, etc. Then this talks about fonts and colors. Now here's something I'd like you to do. Here's a color chart. So if you click on that, this color chart, this tells you the code for different colors. Like that's really light blue. Here's the code for black. What I suggest you do, open this color chart, do File, Save As, and save that color chart in your web design folder. So I'm just going to call it color chart. It's going to save as HTML automatically, and I'll be able to open this up anytime I want, and I can use these codes. You'll see how to do those later, or I could use the words to create that exact color. So save that color chart. CSS. Now CSS is a type of web design, and what it does is CSS is a simple way for adding font, color, spacing, and more to web pages. That's what CSS does. In CSS, you end up creating a specific file, and then you just refer to that file as you create your web pages, so you don't have to do all the tags and all those things in everything you do on a web page. You just do it once in the CSS and use it later on. So this is what CSS does. And there are two types of CSS. And whenever you do CSS, you always have this type of a command, because that tells your program, your browser, that you're going to be referring to CSS. And here's sample code. Like this right here, this is code, all of this, Arial, size 12, with this color and slight bolding on it. It's called this. You name it, and you'll see how to do this a little bit later. Now there are two types of CSS. There's internal, and internal means you type directly into the page you are making. That's internal. But then there's also external. So internal is you type directly in the page you're making. So you can see what they're having you do down here. Okay, so this code will set up the code for your first style. So they want you to type this. You're going to open up a blank. So right here, open a new notepad and type this code in. See, you cannot copy and paste this code. So you're going to type this code in exactly. So open a new browser, new notepad, I should say, and type this code exactly. You're going to get some practice doing CSS. So type that exactly. Then down here, this goes into the body section of your coding. So you're going to put this in the body section of the coding and save it as first css.html in the Unit 2 folder. And remember, when you save these things in Notepad, actually let me go ahead and open up Notepad, and I'm just going to show you, pretend I have all that in here. I'm just going to do File, Save As, and remember, I want to go down here and do All Files, and then this would be called, if I was doing this work, it was called Can't remember what it was called. First CSS.html. So if I had all that done here, I do File, Save As, change this to all files, first CSS.html. In this case, I'd have to put the HTML in because it wasn't giving me the HTML. So that's what I would save this as. Then I'd hit Save, make sure it's in my Unit 2 folder. So you follow all of these directions, and again on this one you're typing all of this stuff in, and this is going to go in the body section, so you create that body section. And you're going to create these styles. So you can see how this is all going to work out. So you follow all of this directly. And you'll see how it works. Now what you're doing here is you're creating, right here where it says page title, that's the CSS, the name for the CSS file you're creating. It's called page title. It's going to be 16 point Times New Roman, bold, black. Then down here, when you refer to page title, like these words, they will have the attributes that page title has. So when you create this, you'll see that right down here, this makes the title larger. That's because this was the command that happened on it. This makes paragraph green and bold. That's because right up here, see, this is called paragraph green, bold, size 12. And down here, this pspan class referred to paragraphs. So you actually created two CSS. You created a CSS for page title and one for paragraph. So that was internal. Now external are used for whole web pages. In this one you create a separate CSS file. So here they're going to have you open a new notepad document, and you're going to type in all of these things. You don't put the tags or anything in it because you're creating CSS. So if you look down here, you're going to call this firstweb.css in your Unit 2 folder. That's making it a style sheet. So that's where you're doing a little bit different work on this. Now the assignment. On this assignment is Webmaster Role. And if you remember, you did a Webmaster Essay before, and you in Unit 1, and you did it in Notepad. And what you're going to do is you're going to change it from being a text file to an HTML file, and you're going to put in all the code. It's going to be internal CSS. And look at the right file name, CSS assignment.html. And again, I've given you all the directions on doing this. I've given that to you back in the work for the week. Now what I have for you, to go back to the work for the week, I'm trying to make this a little bit easier so you can get a handle on it. So if I go back here to the work for the week, so there's the demonstration recording, but also use the template that I have under helpful files. So if I go down here under helpful files, Webmaster Role template, so see what I've created for you here? I've helped you with this. So I'm going to highlight all of this. I'm going to right click copy, then I open Notepad, paste it. So here what I've done is I've created this for you, and you're going to go ahead and put your own title in here. You're going to make changes to the CSS. So you see that there are 4 CSS items here. make changes to these. You can make them a different size. You can give them different color. Remember the color code that we looked at? You can make them bold, take off the bold. You put different color on the writing. So this is what you will do. You're going to put your main heading. You're going to type your main heading right here, which would be Webmaster Roles. And then from your Webmaster Roles document that you have in Notepad, you're going to put the paragraph. First paragraph here, your second paragraph here, and then your two references, the two URLs, you're going to put down below here. And this will create for you the Webmaster Roles assignment. Then once you have all that in here, then you'll do File, Save As. And you need to go back to see what it said on what you save that as. So this is the Webmaster Role website assignment. And you're going to save that as Webmaster Role. Actually, you're going to save it as cssassignment.html. So that's going to be the Webmaster Role web page you create, cssassignment.html. And you'll save it in your Unit 2 folder. But again, I have the exact directions on how to do this. I have it posted in the weekly work announcement. So that's section 2. Let's go back to the Class Connect write-up, see if we've answered all the questions. Section 2, what is the web accessibility? Yes. How is CSS useful? We talked about that. And 2 types of CSS, how are they different from one another? Okay, finally, in section 3, let's explain 2 types of hyperlinks. Give an example of a link that would allow somebody to send an email. So now we're going into section 3. And section 3 is all about hyperlinks. And hyperlink, those are the things that make you link from one place to another. So those are the web links, the active links in a web page. So you can see it down below here. This is an example of a hyperlink. And this would make the words my page, when you click on them, it would go to this location right here. So right here, that's what it would look like when you use the coding just like this. Now there are a couple of types of links. There's an external link that links to another page. Like if I clicked right here to click on Google, that would go to the Google website, right? Because this is an external hyperlink. There's also an internal link. So they're going to have you practice with the hyperlink. So you're going to copy and paste this into a new Notepad file. And actually, you don't need to do this. This is a hyperlinks assignment. We're not doing this assignment, but this gives you an idea of how you can do linking like that if you want to. So don't worry about that. If you want to see what that code would look like, you can see what that code would look like. Now, changing colors of the links. Some of you might want to do this later on. You can look at the way you can do all of this. You can change the color, make it hover, make the mouse hover over the link, even change the color after the web page has been visited. So you can see the different code down there to do all of that. But you don't have to do that. We're skipping, this is the hyperlink assignment. We are skipping this assignment. So we talked about external link that goes to a different page, but now there's something called an internal link. An internal link just links to something within your web page. So it could go like return to the top of the web page, you go to the bottom of the web page, whatever. Now another type of link is an email link. And here's the exact code for an email link. So you can see that the text that you would click on would be contact me, and then that would go to try to make an email to this address. So this is the exact code to do an email. And I think in the Class Connect write-up it says what code would you use to send an email to yourself or something like that. So you need to know how this mail code works. Now this is the hyperlink assignment. And this is the one that I said you're going to skip. So don't worry about doing the hyperlink assignment. So the only thing you're going to do in Unit 3, Section 3, is you're just reading through this and learning about this. Okay, the Class Connect write-up. So for Section 3, listen, explain two types of hyperlinks. We talked about that, didn't we? Internal and external. Explain them both. Give an example of a link that would allow someone to send you email. So that means you're going to go back to this presentation that showed how to do an email link. And I want that email link to show the exact information if somebody was going to email you. So this email goes to johndoe@abc.com. Well, your own email address is going to go right in here. So that's the end of the Class Connect write-up. So in closing, for this week, you need to do everything that they tell you to do in doing the practice HTML documents, saving them with the same names, exact names they tell you, etc. So you're going to go through all that work. You're going to do the invitations assignment, saving it with the exact name. Ultimately, when you finish the invitations assignment, it's called invite2.html. And you're going to do the Webmaster Roles assignment. And here are demonstrations to show you exactly how to do it. So you just click on that demonstration, and that video will running, and you open your notepad and do the work. Demonstration tells you how to do the work. Same thing with the Webmaster Role assignment. So you have 2 assignments to turn in for this week. Okay, well, thanks for watching, everyone. And I look forward to your work coming in. But the most important thing, make sure things are saved in the exact places they're supposed to be saved, and make sure things are saved with the exact names